30 seconds and counting.
Hey, what's good, yo? Welcome back to another video. I'm Anish. I'm joined with Roman, and today we're going to be talking about potential players on the Texans being on the trade block in this upcoming trade deadline. As you know, the Texans are currently 1-4, so by the looks of it, it seems like we're going to be sellers at the deadline, and we have some players that we could get some draft capital out of. So the first player we're going to be talking about is Zach Cunningham. And the reasons why he's on our list is for some reasons. First one being, like, he was in the Browns game. He was actually like pulled out of the second half because of disciplinary reasons. So that's something to take note of, because like I don't think like Cully's, like, I like how Cully's keeping his players responsible, but at the same time it's just like that's kind of strange. Like, that's never happened with Zach Cunningham. And Zach Cunningham, like, for those who don't, he has a reputation of leading the league in tackles, so that's where the appeal can come from. So I'm thinking that with the resurgence of Cameron Grugier-Hill playing outstandingly well, I feel like he's definitely going to be someone we're going to re-sign. I feel like for Zach Cunningham, we could possibly get a second or a third round pick, but what do you think?
Yeah, for Zach Cunningham, as you said, he's just been having kind of an off season, nowhere near what we've seen from him before. But yeah, I feel like a third round pick, it would be fair. But honestly, in this kind of market right now, I mean, middle linebackers are hard to find. We all know that. Like, at least like a very good middle linebacker. Zach Cunningham, I would probably put him in like a tier 3, maybe very late tier 2 type of linebacker. In the run coverage or in the run stopping, we all know he's a very good run stopping linebacker. But when it gets to pass coverage, that's where he's kind of been lacking pretty much his whole career. He has never really been able to be a pass coverage type of linebacker. We saw this during this season, last season, all the way since he was drafted in, I think, 2017. But yeah, a third round pick, I could kind of see it, but being more likely, maybe like a fourth and a sixth, or maybe a fourth and another player. But I think a third, that would be what we would be looking for, and I think that would be fair. But just in terms of how the market is right now, I think like a fourth and a sixth maybe.
Yeah, and in terms of age, Zach Cunningham is only 26 years old, so age is definitely not something that would make buyers wary of trading for Zach Cunningham. He's definitely like approaching his the typical prime age for a middle linebacker. But yeah, moving on to the next candidate, Lonnie Johnson. And as good as Lonnie's been in the past 2 games, getting back-to-back interceptions, he's also had some issues in coverage, and he's also been rumored on the trade block multiple times. And so what do you think about like Lonnie Johnson and a possible return we could get for him?
Yeah, honestly, I would not want to move on from Lonnie Johnson. I don't think he's our future starting safety. I mean, he could be. By all means, he could be. He's very talented. He seems to be a very good leader on the defense. He's always energetic on the sidelines, in the field, in the locker room. And we've all seen this. But he hasn't really played up to his expectations. He was drafted in the second round. And I understand that we had to move him from cornerback to safety. But I feel like he should still be playing a little bit better. From being a second round pick, he's playing kind of like a fourth, maybe a third or fourth round guy. And I think we drafted him in the early second as well. So there's that. But we could probably get like a fourth, something similar to like a Zach Cunningham type of deal. Maybe like a fourth and a sixth, or maybe even a third as well. He has 2 interceptions on the season. He had 1 in preseason that he returned for a pick 6. And he isn't the best tackler, but he's willing to throw in all his effort to make the tackle if he has to. But yeah, as I said, I would hate to move on from him. But if it was like a fourth and a sixth, I think I would. And if it was a third, 100%. But yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking around the lines of like a fifth maybe for Lonnie. I think that makes most sense. But yeah. But moving on, let's talk about Charles Omenihu. And this one I originally did not think to put on the trading list, but ever since he was a healthy scratch and was ruled out in the game, makes me think that he's definitely on the trading block, which is strange because he's been like a decent piece on our defense, but I guess at the same time, like Nick Caserio made as many moves as he did, um, because like he thought that I guess the pieces that we currently had weren't good enough. So yeah, that's gonna be something to watch out for. I feel like he's definitely on the trading block. As far as value goes, I'm really not sure. Yeah, Charizard it would be interesting to see if teams would be willing to trade for him, especially at the trade deadline. I feel like we end up keeping him for some reason, but what do you think?
Oh yeah, if we were to trade him, I could probably see us getting like a 5th or 6th, maybe something like a Shaq Lawson type of return for him. But when we drafted him in the 5th round out of Texas, and at the time when we drafted him, everybody was saying he was a steal. Some people had him going in the 2nd round, some people had him going in the 3rd round, and we ended up getting him in the 5th round. So I mean, yeah, at the time it was 100% a steal. But as a 5th round rookie, I guess he's kind of lived up to the hype. I mean, he hasn't done anything too amazing, or he hasn't been too bad. But as a 5th round guy, I think he's been okay. But for him to be a projected, or at least thought to be 2nd or 3rd round guy, I would expect him to be a little bit better. I don't feel like he's a guy that should be on, as we've seen, he's been on Twitter for the past week, ever since you were talking about the healthy scratch thing. He's been on Twitter just talking, making kind of questionable tweets. Some people don't know if it's about his trade thing or if it's about something else. But yeah, I would think like maybe like 5th or 6th. Kind of think of it like a Shaq Lawson type of return.
Yeah, I would agree with that prediction of a 6. But yeah. All right, next candidate that we're going to talk about is someone that I really hope we don't trade, but it's Brandon Cooks. And as you know, has had a stellar season so far, except for like the last game or so. But other than that, he's been balling out with Davis Mills and Terod Taylor. And so Brandon Cooks, he was leading like the league, or like was one of the top 5 people leading the league in receiving yards up until the Patriots game. So Brandon Cooks, as much as I want to keep him, and he's still really young too, he might be someone worth considering for a team who's willing to pay extra or like pay a higher price for a wide receiver help. And Brandon Cooks can definitely net a 2nd round pick. Again, like he's been traded out so many times in his career. I believe for like a 1st, and then again for a 1st, and then again for a 2nd. So I think Brandon Cooks still has that 2nd round value. And so yeah, so I don't know like whether or not we should trade Brandon Cooks. I feel like he's a good veteran piece on our team, and he's still young, like I said. And yeah, he's a good locker room presence, and he's been very positive about like this whole team and this whole like situation so far. He's handled it like a pro. So I would hate to like see him go, but I mean, I wouldn't be like surprised if he was like on the trading block for some reason.
Yeah, for me, it just kind of depends. If we're to roll out with Davis Mills for the rest of the season, then yeah, I would look to keep Brandon Cooks. And I think that's what the Texans would do. You would want to have Brandon Cooks, a veteran guy who's still pretty young. He's like 27. And he's been really, really good with Davis Mills. Like he's had, not necessarily on the field even. He's been really, really good, like in the locker room, in the huddles, on the sideline. He's been kind of the guy being that 2nd coach to Davis Mills. We all know that we have Pep Hamilton as a quarterback coach. We got David Culley, who's kind of like the motivator, head coach. And then we also got Brandon Cooks, who's kind of like a 3rd coach for him, pretty much. He's always there, hyping him up or whatever. He's just a very, very good locker room guy in general. But yeah, as you said, I think we should be able to get a 2nd round pick. And a team that just comes instantly to mind for me is the Baltimore Ravens. We all know the Ravens, they don't have the best receiving core. And then with Lamar Jackson coming off his best game, I think as a pro, in my opinion, it was like 440 yards or something like that, 80% pass accuracy. And then he did it with not too good of a receiver in core. Other than Marquise Brown, I think Sammy Watkins played. And I'm not too sure if Bateman played. I can't really remember right now. But if they had a Brandon Cooks mix, imagine how good their offense would be. And I think that's a team that you could possibly see inquiring about Brandon Cooks. Maybe a team like them. But yeah, I wouldn't want to trade him, but it just depends on the value we get back. And if we could get a 2nd, then I would for sure think about it. But realistically, maybe like a 3rd, 4th. No, not a 4th, but like a 3rd and a 3rd with a 5th. But I would want a 2nd.
Yeah, and the next person we're going to talk about is Laramie Thompson. This one's going to be more controversial than the other ones. Some people say like we should trade him because we're in like a rebuilding phase. Some people are still in, I don't know, are still questionable what we're doing like with the future of this team. But Laramie Tunsil, the only way I would trade Laramie Tunsil is like if/when we trade Deshaun Watson for like 3 first-round picks and some other stuff. Then if you trade Tunsil for like a first and a second, then you have like 5 first-round picks next year. Like that's insane. And so like everyone's been saying that this next year's draft class is really, really good. So if we're able to like maximize on like all the talent, like 5 first-round picks, that'd be really insane. But like I don't know if that would be something that we would do. But that's the only reason why I would trade Laramie Tunsil. But then again, like it's really hard to find a franchise left tackle, especially at his age. Contract is like obviously taking up a good portion, and so you may think like if you're thinking that the team is rebuilding, might be better to get rid of all the not bad contracts. I mean, Tunsil like in a few years that his current contract will be seen as like average or so. So like it really depends, but I mean it's really hard to find left tackles like Laramie Tunsil. He shut down Myles Garrett, who's been destroying the league, and so no one's been talking about that. They're like, oh, Myles Garrett's so good, but then Laramie Tunsil shut him down, and then nobody talks about Laramie Tunsil. So yeah, it's really tough, especially with the rest of our O-line not being like the greatest. Tyus Howard being like the second best like lineman, and so yeah, that would be really hard to do. Like if we were to trade Tunsil, like Cooks, Tunsil are like 2 guys like I would not really want to trade, but like I can see why if they were traded.
Oh yeah, I was actually thinking about this one to myself the other day. I might get both reasons to trade him and to not trade him. There's a bunch of pros and there's a bunch of cons to both sides. Personally, I don't think I would trade him unless it was for a first, a second, and maybe another second. Maybe like 1 first, 2 seconds or something like that. Because think about it. If we get 1 first and 2 seconds for Laramie Tunsil and then 3 first and 2 or 3 seconds from Deshaun Watson, and then we match it up with our own first-round picks. Over the next 3 years, we could have what is it? Let's see. Houston have 3, 6. We could have like almost 12 or 13 premier picks. Premier picks as in being in the first and second round. We could have 13 first and second round picks over the next 3 years. And that's something that you really, really need. And that's pivotal to a rebuilding team. But then a con to it, Laramie Tunsil, as you said, for me, he's the best left tackle in the league. He shut down Myles Garrett for the most part. He really didn't let Myles Garrett do anything. Myles Garrett even got frustrated. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would do it unless, as I said, you get the 1 first and 2 seconds. But there's a bunch of things that come into it. Like Laramie Thompson is still pretty young for left tackle. He probably has like 10 more years of playing. I think it's 27, about to be 28. I'm not too sure. But if you could play to like 37, 38, I think Andrew Whitworth for the LA Rams, I think he's almost 40 or 41. And he's still playing as a top 10 left tackle in the league. So if Laramie Tunsil can kind of keep up that same productivity, I don't think I would do it, even then. Because as you said, it's very, very hard to find a left tackle. And I keep finding myself in this thing that's like, yes, we should trade him. No, we shouldn't trade him. One, the picks look very, very nice if you look at it from a big standpoint. 1 first and 2 seconds? I mean, sure, we did trade 2 first, and I think it was the second or so. I don't even remember what the trade was for him. But I think we gave it 3 picks in the top 2 rounds. But yeah, that's a very, very, as you're saying, it's a very controversial. It's very, very, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't think I would do it, but yeah.
Yeah, the capital that we gave for Tunsil initially were 2 first-rounders and a second-round pick, and we received Tunsil, Stills, a 4th-round pick, and a 6th-round pick. So 1st and 2 seconds definitely seems reasonable in that regard, and then obviously like add some other like smaller pieces in the deal. But yeah, and then Laramie, like trading for left tackles, like teams will definitely pay like high prices for a left tackle in this league. And so that's just something to consider. And then the last trade candidate we're going to be talking about is David Johnson. And so one of the reasons is that our running back room is really filled right now. We already have Mark Ingram, Phillip Lindsay, David Johnson, and Scotty Phillips, who hasn't seen any playing. I don't think he has seen any playing time this season. And we also have Rex Burkhead for some reason. And so, and I don't think he's gotten much playing time either. So, and David Johnson, he's had some decent games in the receiving game, like a few runs in the running game that he's had. So I could see like a team possibly trading for David Johnson, like as like a final playoff push or something like that. Because David Johnson, he can provide value. Like he doesn't look too bad out there. So David Johnson, like trading him would definitely free up a roster spot for Scottie Phillips to get more playing time, who we should definitely try to try out more. And we could probably get like around like maybe fifth round value for David Johnson. I think that's around his range, but what do you think?
Oh yeah, first off, a team that comes to mind to me is the Kansas City Chiefs. We all saw that Clyde Edwards-Helaire went down with I think it was like an MCL sprain, or I don't know what it was. I think it was something with the knee. But David Johnson's kind of a similar player to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in terms of, I guess, the passing game and kind of like the zone running scheme. But I think the Chiefs just activated or signed. I don't really remember who they signed, but getting David Johnson would 100% boost their running back room. And a team like the Chiefs that are kind of struggling in both sides of the football, offensively and defensively, adding another pass-catching running back who can be good both in the passing game and running game, I think the Chiefs would 100% do it. And I could see us, maybe if we add, maybe if we do a package deal, maybe Charles Omenihu and like a David Johnson for like a fourth. I don't think that would be, obviously it's probably very unlikely, but if we were to offer that, I don't think it would be out of the question. The Chiefs, they obviously need help, as I said, on offense and defense. They could use another pass rusher, and as I said, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire going down, they could also use another running back. But David Johnson, I have a bunch of respect for the guy, but the timelines for the Houston Texans and David Johnson just really don't match up. David Johnson is a very good locker room guy, very good person, and he's still very solid as a running back. But if he could get like a fifth, sixth round type of compensation back, I would do it in a heartbeat. Especially that it gives Scottie Phillips some time and some playing time to kind of get to show himself, kind of get to prove himself.
Yeah, that's definitely something. I didn't think about like packaging two players together for like a pick, but that's pretty interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Let us know your thoughts on possible trade candidates like Cunningham, Lonnie Johnson, Charles Omenihu, Brandon Cooks, Laramie Thompson, David Johnson in the comment section below. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank you all for watching. Peace.